The first great deception of our social lives is that kindness is a currency. We are taught from the earliest age to be polite, to share, to be considerate, to be nice. It is presented as the ultimate social lubricant, the key that unlocks goodwill, friendship, and success. And so we invest in it. We pour our efforts into this agreeable version of ourselves, believing that each deposit of niceness builds a kind of relational wealth. We expect returns, respect, affection, loyalty, opportunity. But for so many, the statement never arrives. The account feels perilously empty. The investment yields at best indifference and, at worst, exploitation. This is not a failure of kindness itself, which is a profound and genuine virtue. It is the failure of a strategy, the strategy of being nice. It is a specific posture, a performance, a transaction disguised as virtue. And its collapse is one of the most universal, yet quietly unspoken disappointments of adult life. To understand why, we must first strip the word nice of its moral dressing. Kindness is an internal state, a genuine regard for the well-being of others that flows from a position of strength and wholeness. Niceness, in the transactional sense we are examining, is often something else entirely. It is an external performance, a mask worn not from abundance, but from lack. It is a tool for managing the perceptions of others, a preemptive strike against conflict, a bid for safety and belonging. The nice person is not necessarily acting from a place of love, but more commonly from a place of fear. Fear of rejection, fear of confrontation, fear of being seen as difficult or selfish or unworthy. This fear is the foundation of the edifice, and it is a foundation of sand. For when you act from fear, you broadcast a subliminal signal to every social predator, every unconscious opportunist, and every overwhelmed individual in your vicinity. You broadcast that your boundaries are negotiable, that your priorities are secondary, that your primary function is to soothe, to accommodate, to absorb the discomforts of the world so that others do not have to feel them. This is the first unspoken rule. Niceness is often perceived not as strength, but as an absence of it. In the subtle hierarchies that govern all human interaction, perceived strength dictates the flow of energy, attention, and resources. Strength here does not mean aggression or dominance. It means a discernible center, a gravitational pull of self-possession. When you are habitually nice, always adapting, always folding your shape to fit the spaces others leave for you, you become socially weightless. You do not exert a gravitational pull. You are pulled. People do not orient around you. You orient around them. Consequently, your opinions carry less weight because they are assumed to be malleable. Your needs are given lower priority because they are never presented as non-negotiable. Your presence becomes a comfort, a pleasant utility, but not a force to be reckoned with or a wellspring to be cherished. You become the background, the supportive ambience, while others occupy the foreground. And the background, while essential, is rarely respected. It is expected, used, and forgotten. This leads directly to the second unspoken rule. Consistency in niceness devalues it. If you are always predictably agreeable, your compliance ceases to be a gift and becomes the baseline. It becomes the expected condition of your being. Think of any currency. If it is overprinted, its value plummets. If agreement, assistance, and emotional labor flow from you in an endless, undifferentiated stream, then each individual act loses its meaning. The colleague who always stays late, the friend who always drives, the partner who always apologizes first. Their actions are no longer seen as sacrifices or kindnesses, but as standard operating procedure. The moment they deviate, however slightly, from this self-imposed standard, they are met not with gratitude for all that came before, but with resentment for the present withdrawal. The nice person builds a prison of expectations, with themselves as the sole warden and inmate. They have, through sheer consistency, taught the world to take, and to take for granted. Boundaries are the language of self-respect. They are the statements, spoken or unspoken, that define where you end and another begins. They're the rules of engagement for your time, your energy, and your emotional interior. The transactional nice person operates with porous, ill-defined, or non-existent boundaries. Their guiding principle is not what is right for me, but what will keep me safe from disapproval. Every time a boundary is dissolved for the sake of niceness, a small act of self-betrayal is committed. You say yes when you mean no. You laugh when you are hurt. You absorb blame that is not yours to carry. And with each betrayal, your sense of self erodes. You become a ghost in your own life, haunting the spaces between other people's demands. The cruel irony is that people do not ultimately respect those without boundaries. They may like them, use them, even feel fond of them, but respect is rooted in the perception of a separate, sovereign self. Without boundaries, you are not a separate entity. You are an extension of others' needs. And we do not respect our tools. We merely use them until they wear out. There is a deep psychological mechanics at play here, a dance of shadows. The chronically nice individual is often engaged in a form of covert contract making. The contract is simple. I will provide you with unwavering approval, service, and compliance. And in return, you will provide me with security, love, and validation. The fatal flaw is that this contract is never presented, never signed. The other party is blissfully unaware of the debt they are supposedly incurring. So they live their lives taking the offered niceness at face value, as a free gift. When the nice person then feels the simmering resentment of unpaid dues, the world seems unjust. But the injustice is self-created. It is the anger of a banker who lent money without telling the borrower, then waits at their door, demanding repayment with interest. This unspoken ledger of favors and expected returns is a poison that turns kindness into bitterness. It creates a martyr, not a saint. And martyrs, in the end, are remembered more for their suffering than for their cause. The fear of conflict is the engine of this entire dynamic. For the nice person, conflict is not a natural, sometimes necessary part of human relating. It is an apocalypse to be avoided at all costs. A raised voice, a disagreement, a simple no feels like a seismic event that will shatter the fragile acceptance they have worked so hard to earn. So they preemptively surrender. They become masters of de-escalation, not through wisdom, but through capitulation. They confuse peace with pacification. But true peace is the resolution of conflict, not its avoidance. By avoiding all conflict, you do not create harmony. You simply push the dissonance inward into your own psyche, where it festers as anxiety, resentment, and a growing sense of powerlessness. Furthermore, you rob your relationships of authenticity. A relationship without the capacity for conflict is a relationship without truth. It is a performance. It is a pact of mutual pretense. And in the silent theater of that performance, the nice person is always the understudy, never the lead. This brings us to a darker, more uncomfortable observation. Niceness can be a form of manipulation. It sounds counterintuitive, even offensive, but examine the motive. When niceness is a strategy to control outcomes, to make someone like you, to avoid anger, to secure a favor, it is by definition manipulative. It is an attempt to influence another's behavior or emotions through indirect means. It is trading in a counterfeit currency, hoping the other person will not notice it lacks the gold of genuine intent. This is why excessive niceness can feel so cloying, so oppressive to be on the receiving end. Sensitive people can feel the hidden hook within the offering. They sense the unspoken demand for approval, the vacuum of need masquerading as generosity. It does not feel like freedom. It feels like a soft, pleasant trap. And the instinct, however subconscious, is to pull away, to reject the proffered bargain. The nice person, bewildered, sees only the rejection of their kindness, deepening their conviction that the world is cruel and their efforts are futile. They fail to see that what was rejected was not kindness, but the invisible contract that accompanied IT, in the ecology of human groups. the nice person often assumes the role of the emotional shock absorber. They become the repository for minor complaints, the therapist for passing dramas, the one who is always safe to vent to because they will never push back, never offer an uncomfortable truth, never demand reciprocal attention. This is a draining, one-way flow of energy. The nice person's emotional space becomes public parkland, open for everyone to dump their psychic litter. They confuse being needed with being valued. There is a profound difference. Being needed is a functional role. A trash can is needed. A doormat is needed. Being valued is to be appreciated for your essential self, for your unique presence, not merely for your utility in absorbing negativity. When you train people to see you as a vessel for their discomfort, you inadvertently teach them that your own discomfort has no place. Your inner world becomes a silent, crowded room where everyone is talking and no one is listening, especially not you. The tragedy of the chronic people pleaser is that they are often deeply disconnected from their own desires. So much mental and emotional bandwidth is devoted to scanning the environment for cues. What does this person want? How are they feeling? What can I do to make this smooth? That the internal signal is drowned out. The question, what do I want, becomes foreign, terrifying, almost illegible. Self-awareness is replaced by other awareness. This creates a hollow core. When you interact with such a person, you sense the emptiness. You are not engaging with a substantive, self-defined individual, but with a mirror, a sophisticated reflection of your own expectations. This is ultimately unsatisfying for both parties. We crave the friction and beauty of connection with another sovereign consciousness. The nice person offers only a pleasant echo, and an echo, no matter how pleasing, cannot hold conversation. It cannot love. It can only reflect. Power in human relations is not merely about command and control. It is fundamentally about autonomy. The power to choose, to say no, to direct your own life's narrative. The nice person, in their quest for safety through accommodation, surrenders their autonomy piece by piece. Each unexpressed preference, each swallowed objection, each sacrificed afternoon is a small transfer of power. They give away the keys to their own time and spirit, and then wonder why they feel like a tenant in their own existence. The people around them, even well-meaning ones, naturally step into the vacuum of decision-making. They choose the restaurant, they set the timeline, they define the terms of the friendship. Not out of malice, but because nature abhors a vacuum, and social dynamics are a part of human nature. The nice person, hoping to be loved for their compliance, fails to understand a fundamental law. We are loved for our presence and respected for our boundaries. Without the latter, the former becomes a form of patronage. Vulnerability is the cornerstone of genuine connection. It is the courage to show your authentic self with all its flaws, desires, and uncertainties. Transactional niceness is the antithesis of vulnerability. It is a carefully constructed facade of agreeableness designed precisely to hide vulnerability. The nice person fears that if their true thoughts, their disappointments, their needs were revealed, they would be rejected. So they present a polished, frictionless version of themselves. But this facade is a barrier, not a bridge. Real connection requires the risk of being seen. It requires the possibility of disagreement. The nice person's persona is so safe, so inoffensive, that it offers nothing to connect to. It is like trying to grasp a smooth, polished stone with no edges to get a purchase on. We connect through shared authenticity, through the recognition of our own struggles in another. The mask of niceness shows none of that struggle. It shows only the resolution, and a false one at that. Thus, the nice person often feels profoundly lonely, surrounded by people who like their mask but do not know them. And they cannot understand why. After being so nice, they feel so utterly unseen. There's an important distinction between being good and being good-natured. Being good involves moral agency, choice, sometimes difficult action aligned with a deeper principle. Being good-natured is a temperament, a default setting of affability. Society rewards good-naturedness because it is convenient. It makes interactions smoother, but it does not necessarily respect it. History is not moved by the consistently good-natured. It is moved by those who possessed a deeper, more complex goodness. A goodness that could be fierce, that could say a devastating no, that could draw a line in the sand and defend it. The nice person confuses these two concepts. They believe that by being good-natured, they're being good. But true goodness sometimes requires the capacity to disrupt, to cause temporary discomfort for a greater truth or a necessary boundary. The nice person, addicted to the short-term relief of avoiding discomfort, forfeits the deeper respect that comes from being a person of principled and sometimes difficult action. Let us consider the economic metaphor in more depth. If you give away your time, your labor, your emotional support without ever stating your price or your terms, you are not a philanthropist. You are a pauper. You are depleting your own resources without any sustainable system of renewal. In the marketplace of human relationships, you have declared your goods to be free. And when something is free, it is not valued. It is consumed, often wastefully. People will take without thought, without gratitude, simply because there is no cost attached. The nice person watches this consumption with a growing sense of emptiness, believing the takers to be ungrateful. But they are simply behaving rationally within the economic framework the nice person themselves established. To change the outcome, one must change the framework. One must learn to attach cost. Not necessarily a monetary one, but a cost in terms of reciprocity, respect, and the simple acknowledgement that a gift is being given, not an infinite resource tapped. The origin of this pattern almost always lies in the distant past, in the formative lessons of childhood. For many, niceness was the survival strategy. It was the way to secure the love of a preoccupied parent, to avoid the wrath of an unpredictable one, to become the good child in a chaotic family system where being a problem was dangerous. The child learns a powerful, life-defining equation. My compliance equals safety. My agreeableness equals love. This wiring is laid down deep in the neural pathways. As an adult, in a world that is no longer that childhood environment, the software still runs. The adult perceives threats of rejection and conflict with the same catastrophic intensity as the child once perceived a parent's disapproval. They are not responding to the present reality, but to a ghost from the past. Every interaction is filtered through this ancient alarm system. Until one becomes aware of this ghost, one is doomed to repeat the old strategy, even as it fails again and again in the new world. The transformation, then, is not from nice to mean. That is a false dichotomy, a reaction born of resentment. The transformation is from nice to authentic. It is the movement from a fear-based posture to an integrity-based posture. It is the slow, often painful process of learning to distinguish the ghost's whispers from the present moment's reality. It begins with the smallest of acts, the mumbled no that feels like a seismic event, the expression of a minor preference, the allowing of a moment of silence rather than rushing to fill it with agreeable chatter. Each of these acts feels, internally, like a rebellion. And it is. It is a rebellion against the tyranny of the old strategy. Externally, it is often met with little more than a blink, a slight adjustment. The world does not end. The rejection does not come. Or if it does, it comes from those who had a vested interest in your compliance, and their departure is not a tragedy, but a necessary clearing. This journey requires the cultivation of a quality that nice people often neglect: self-compassion. For years, even decades, they have been merciless in their demand for their own niceness. Any deviation was met with internal scorn. You're being selfish. You're going to make them angry. You're a bad person. To begin to set boundaries is to face this internal critic with unwavering kindness. It is to understand that the need for safety was legitimate, and the strategy, however flawed, was an attempt at self-preservation. Beating oneself up for being too nice is just another form of the same harshness. The shift happens when you begin to treat yourself with the same patient consideration you have so freely offered to others. You become your own protector, your own advocate. And from that secure internal base, Real kindness, the kind that is free, generous, and without hidden contracts, can finally begin to flow. It is no longer a currency to buy love, but an overflow of a love you have finally learned to give to yourself. We must also confront the social reinforcement of niceness. Society, in its surface-level functioning, praises the agreeable. It rewards compliance. The team player, the good sport, the pleasant colleague. These are social lubricants. But look one layer deeper. Who gets promoted? Not necessarily the nicest. Who commands deep loyalty? Not always the most accommodating. Who is remembered and cherished? Rarely the people who never made a ripple. Society's public script praises niceness, but its actual rewards, respect, influence, authentic love, are reserved for those who possess a core of self-defined strength. The nice person follows the public script to the letter and wonders why the real rewards remain out of reach. They have mistaken the applause for the prize. The applause is for the performance that benefits the group's immediate comfort. The prize is given for substance, which sometimes requires disrupting that very comfort. There is a quiet violence in constant self-erasure. Every time you silence a thought, swallow a feeling, or twist a preference to align with another's, you commit a subtle act of violence against your own spirit. This is not dramatic. It is incremental. It is the death by 1,000 cuts. Over time, the cumulative effect is a profound sense of disassociation, a feeling of living a life that is not your own. You look in the mirror and see a pleasant stranger. You listen to yourself speak and hear the echoes of others' opinions. This internal fragmentation is the true cost of the strategy. The loneliness, the resentment, the emptiness, these are not accidents. They are the direct consequences of a lifelong practice of self-abandonment. The nice person is often waiting for someone else to give them permission to exist fully. They do not realize that the only permission that matters is their own, and it is not granted. It is taken through a series of small, courageous choices to prioritize one's own reality. The fear of being perceived as selfish is the chains that bind the nice person to their treadmill. The concept of selfishness has been weaponized, especially against those predisposed to caretaking. But let us reframe it. Is it selfish for a cell to maintain its membrane? Is it selfish for a tree to draw water through its roots? These are acts of self-preservation, without which the entity ceases to exist and can contribute nothing. Distinguishing healthy self-interest from pathological selfishness is the critical word. Healthy self-interest is the maintenance of your own core integrity so that you can interact with the world from a place of wholeness, not depletion. Pathological selfishness seeks to aggrandize the self at the direct expense of others. The nice person, terrified of the latter, abandons the former. They let their membrane dissolve, allowing their vital energy to leak out until they are a depleted shell, incapable of giving anything of substance. In their attempt to avoid being a taker, they fail to be a sustainer of themselves and ultimately of anyone else. The final irony, and perhaps the most hopeful one, is that the world often responds better to authenticity than to perform niceness. When you begin to speak your truth, to own your needs, to occupy your space unapologetically, a filtering process begins. Those who are only interested in your compliant utility will fall away. Their departure will feel like a loss, but it is a purification. Those who remain, and those new people who are drawn to you, will be attracted to your substance, not your shadow. The relationships that form from this place are of an entirely different quality. They are based on mutual respect, not covert contracts. They have room for conflict, and therefore room for growth. They are energized, not draining. The love and respect you receive in such relationships will feel different. It will not be the fragile, conditional approval you worked so hard to earn before. It will be a robust, durable recognition of your existence as a complete and separate human being. It will feel, for the first time, like you have finally come home to yourself, and in doing so, have finally allowed others to truly meet you.